What's up you guys, back with another video playing F1 2020, and this time we will relive one of the most crucial moments in F1 history. The first race of Michael Schumacher in 1991. Maybe some of you know the story. Back in 1991, Michael Schumacher was a works driver for Mercedes sports cars. But when Bertrand Grosjean, driver for the F1 Jordan team, got in an altercation with a taxi driver and arrested, Jordan looked for a replacement, and lo and behold, Michael Schumacher took the seat for one race for Jordan, and then, because of his performance at Spa, he moved on to Benetton and started a stellar career in F1 with 2 championships for Benetton and then 5 for Ferrari. But it all started here in Spa-Francorchamps in 1991 on this beautiful car with the 7-Up livery. And there's actually an interesting story behind 7-Up as the main sponsor for the F1 Jordan team. They paid Jordan £1.5 million per year in 1991. And Schumacher, who was considered a paid driver actually at the time, because Mercedes gave Jordan £150,000, so 10% of the 7-Up sponsorship deal, to let Schumacher drive this one race at Spa-Francorchamps. But of course he wasn't really a paid driver in the sense that he needed the money to become one of the best Formula 1 drivers of all time. But it certainly helped, because Jordan considered Stefan Johansson as the first replacement for Bertrand Grosjean. But at the end it was Schumacher. And we are right now in the qualifying, in our first lap, to set a time and to basically reproduce what Schumacher did in the first qualifying of his career. He finished 7th and made headlines all around the world, because he was basically a nobody coming in on a mediocre car, but becoming 7th on his first attempt. We have to, of course, note a few things. The track of Spa-Francorchamps in 1991 looked quite differently than it looks today. At least the bus stop chicane is gone. There was a left-right, right-left combination. Now it's a right-left combination chicane. And also Eau Rouge and Radillon changed over the years for safety reasons. And we are trying to set the first time in qualifying. And nope, that's not it. That's not it. So we had to go back to the pits and had some repairs in our car, and we needed a few more attempts to actually set a decent time and to get even close to 7th. The Formula 1 public was raving because there wasn't really a German driver. It hasn't been one for many years, dating back to Wolfgang Barry von Trips in the 1960s, and Bernie Ecclestone, the head of Formula 1, the famous one, was hammering down that he wanted a German driver to expose Formula 1 to the German market, and he would obviously find one in Michael Schumacher. And Ecclestone was also responsible for Schumacher moving on from Jordan to Benetton after only one race. Because Jordan was, as mentioned, a mediocre team, the 191 was a mediocre car on a 1-year-old engine, on a Ford Cosworth V8. And also Eddie Jordan wanted to lock down Schumacher on a 3-year contract. And that's was not going to happen. So right now we are trying to set a good lap time to get into the top 10 of this qualifying of the Belgium Grand Prix in 1991. Right now we are going through campus down to Staffelo. It's really important to don't get on the brakes too hard and carry a lot of speed down to Courbevoie and Blanchimont. Yeah, we take too much curb there, which is not perfect, but we can still use the torque of the car. It's 1991, so these cars, even on the V8s, have a lot of torque. And now we would go to the left on the old track, on the old layout, but obviously the game only offers the new version of Spa-Francorchamps. And we are now 9th, so no chance in beating Schumacher's qualifying result from 1991. And after all, we will be 11th on the grid for tomorrow's race.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
No, I won't, Jeff. Of course not. And now, lights are off, and away we go with the 1991 Belgian Grand Prix with Michael Schumacher driving down to Le Source. And really going hard, going inside, a little bit contact with the Williams there. And getting out of Le Source. It's important to carry a lot of speed down to Rouge. We get attacked on the right hand side, but we will be able to fight them off. Go over the curb, Radillon, a little bit sideways, but still good. Of course, was quite dangerous. And at that point in the real race, Schumacher would lose power and he would stop his car here on the side on the Camel Straight and would give up after only 500-600 meters. But what Schumacher didn't know is that actually he could rewind the race and start again on the Camel Straight without any technical difficulties and just go on with the race. And that's what we do, because it would be quite lame to just stop after 500-600 meters on the Camel Straight. Right now we are in 7th. When Schumacher noticed that he had difficulties with his car, actually he cooked his clutch because he was probably too aggressive with gear changes. He was on 5th, but of course he lost position when he lost power and then stopped the car. We are now on 7th and we try to gain positions, but it will be hard in this race. And one reason is that actually in F1 2020, when you race these historic cars, you don't only race against competition from the year 1991, for instance. No, you also race against 1995 cars and even the McLarens from 1998. So it's a little bit of an unfair thing with a mediocre car like the Jordan 191 to go up against competition that would go on to win World Championships. And now we come on the start and finish straight, goes sideways there, so we lost speed. And the McLaren is right behind us. We go tight through Le Source up to Rouge. And that's really where the others try to attack you usually. So now through Rouge, Radillon, up the hill. And we are able to keep our position right now. But it will be a hard-fought battle moving on, at least for the next few laps. But what's actually happening is, and I can reveal this after the race now, that there wasn't really much going on. Because we were able to create a little bit of a gap to the McLaren behind us, but we would also lose a lot of time to the cars in front of us. Notably the Benettons, for instance, would just drive off and we wouldn't have the speed nor really the grip levels to compete against these cars. And I mean, that's not surprising. Yeah, going through the chicane, we will usually have a little bit trouble there because we don't have the grip and don't have the traction coming out of the chicane. And there was contact with the McLaren. So the hand signal actually revealed that without having the best camera option. We will look at it from a different camera angle in a second. Going through Rouge, basically side by side, so that's quite dangerous and you shouldn't do that in any case, but we did it. So looking at it from a different camera angle. Now, yeah, I mean, it was somewhat our decision to fight off the McLaren in a hard way at least, and we have a little bit of a damage on our bodywork, but it's alright. Then we go side by side through Radillon and sideways, drifting out of Radillon. Actually, what a moment there. We kept the car on track and we go down the Camel Straight, and now there's a gap to the McLaren, and as already explained, we will keep that gap, and that gap will grow over the next couple of laps, so there wasn't really much action to show. It was more like a modern day 2019-2018 Formula 1 race and less like one in 1991 where you had more overtaking situations. That wasn't really our race now because we were not strong enough to close down the gap to the cars ahead of us. So we will just fast forward to lap 9 when our boring race becomes quite intense all of a sudden. So I don't know really what was going on, but first we will gain a position without any battle because one of the cars, here's the yellow section, will just park on the camera straight where actually Schumacher was parking his car in 1991. So that's a coincidence. So we will gain a position, move up to 6. Still not much going on right now. Lap 9. 2.5 laps to go. Now going through the Parcelles section. Down to Pohang. Not our best section on this track because of the limited grip levels we have. Now to Pohang in a modern day car that's, in my opinion, one of the best corners. Can go flat usually, and it makes quite fun to go flat there. A lot of speed carrying on. But now we are going through campus, and what we see ahead of us is that the cars who were gone were suddenly within punching distance. And I think that's just a glitch in the eye because there's one car really slow and the other one isn't overtaking, so Codemasters, please fix it. But luckily for us, we can just come close to them and start overtaking. So right now we are going a little bit wide, but double overtake before the chicane. We go to the inside, to the left, and out of the chicane, and now we are in 4th. Who would have thought that we could advance in the later stages of this race? I didn't expect it, so from a different angle here, overtaking the Benetton, 1995 Benetton, and the 1996 Williams, and the 1996 Williams is entering the pit, so he was holding up the Benetton. But now, for the last 2 laps of this race, we will have a couple of cars behind us, hunting us for this prestigious 4th place at the Belgium Grand Prix in 1991, and we can clearly see that the Benetton is right on our tail, chasing us up to Ardillon. We were able to hold the position down to Camel Straight, going a little bit defensive there because we never know if the Benetton tries to attack us in La Combe, but they don't, and we can go through La Combe. Here, that's a section where you can more easily defend your position. We thought at least, but now the Benetton goes to the inside, attacks us, is actually ahead of us for a moment, but we go on the outside and we get the better traction actually. So that's something from a different angle here. The Benetton goes to the inside, is ahead of us, but then loses a little bit of traction for some reason, so we can re-overtake the Benetton, Michael Schumacher's World Championship car of 1995. Of course, it's realistically an unfair battle against the Benetton, which was a really advanced car in 1995. But we tried to do anything we can to hold our position now. The 4th place feels like a podium position, considering everything that's going on, considering the 2 McLarens from 1998 up in P1 and P2. Down Blanchimont, which is a fun section of Spa, but also dangerous because we don't have the speed. And we see the Benetton and also McLaren, they are all over us now. We go defensive there a little bit. We try to keep the inside. Sparks flying, and we keep the position going into the chicane. Again, not the best exit, just our weak point, but we're still ahead of the competition there. but they are all over us now. Down to the source, going a little bit defensive into the last lap of the 1991 Belgium Grand Prix. And now from a different angle, and usually there you can really see how the cars are now all over us. The Benetton and the McLaren go to the inside, almost free wide there through Rouge and Radion. And actually in the background we see that the McLaren has overtaken the Benetton. So that might be to our advantage that these two are fighting while we can create a gap. Now looking to the upper left corner, we see that we are 1.1 ahead, going down to Brussels. And I think at this point we really realized that we could take fourth in this Belgium Grand Prix. The winner is already determined in his MP413. So, as mentioned, no realistic chance to battle against these guys. In my opinion, one of the best Formula 1 cars in history, the McLaren MP413, winning the championship in 1998, while we are on our Jordan from 1991, which is still a fun car, fun to drive, a lot of movement. It's really living and breathing, and you can feel it. It's really a great thing that Codemasters put all those Michael Schumacher cars in the game to relive his illustrious career, him becoming one of the best drivers in the world and in history. While we are going down to the chicane to finish fourth in this Belgium Grand Prix. One more time the chicane, the section we hate so much, but still we are done. Fourth place. Whew. I tell you, there was a lot of fun to drive this Jordan 191, to drive Michael Schumacher's first car in Formula 1, and looking at the results, I don't think any of these other guys ever raced in Formula 1. Quite frankly, I don't think these are real people, but it doesn't matter. We had a lot of fun. It was fun to relive the debut race of one of my motorsports heroes. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you liked the channel, please think about subscribing, and I hope to see you soon.